Saras Rafiq is joining me now. He's the CEO of the Quilliam Foundation, which is a counter-extremism group. Aras, thank you for joining me. I know you are, I believe, from Manchester, or certainly from an area around here. Just give me your sense of where we are and what you think about what happened last night, given that we are now, what, 24 hours in?
Well, Becky, I live in Manchester, Greater Manchester, you're absolutely right, and I was there yesterday, and I got on a train yesterday evening at about 8 p.m. to come back down to London, and I walk past the centre. I regularly go past there when I'm there. My sons work round the corner from there, and you know, the city is devastated. The city is in shock. One of the things that did please me was the way that the community, the whole community, the wider community, the Mancunians, came together last night and actually helped each other, the way they looked after each other, the way people opened up their doors to their houses, the way that taxi firms actually gave people lifts for free. People came in from all the areas, and the way that the poem that was read out today by Longfellow, that actually nearly brought a tear to my eye, because you know, I'm part of them, and part of me wants to be there right now. It's just that I happen to be here in London. But then there's the other part of me that is very, very sad and deeply troubled. These type of attacks, these type of jihadist attacks have become almost the new normal. It's as if we're being desensitized, and some people are starting to accept the fact that this is the way it is. Well, it shouldn't be, and it mustn't be. You know, our families, our friends, our children in this case, mustn't be subjugated to the fear of actually going out somewhere on a day-to-day basis, and then other people, in this case myself, because my children could have been there yesterday, you know, worrying about whether they're going to get home safely or not. This isn't the it mustn't be the new normal. It's not enough, and we need to do more. You know, as a community, as communities, be it Muslim, non-Muslim, we've got to get out of this, you know, it's all of Islam, or it's got nothing to do with Islam. We have a problem, and there are people within our communities right now, up until now, haven't joined into this struggle. And it's a plea almost, if you like, for more people to get involved in this, because I'm heartbroken as somebody, you know, who is a Mancunian, to see this happen in my home city.
And the Greater Manchester Police Chief Constable Ian Hopkins, who clearly is from this area as well, really echoing the words that you've just said. He said, as a Chief Constable, but as a father, I cannot understand why someone would carry out such an unspeakable act. Can you answer that question?
I can try. I mean, as somebody who's been in this area of work now for about 14 or 15 years, I can tell you that there are people who will become radicalized. You know, if we look at the types of radicalization, the stages of radicalization, there are some people who will say, you know, it's all about grievances, let's fix the problems. But you know, everybody, every single person at any given time will have a grievance. I have a grievance, and when I go back into my own bed tonight, I'll be thinking of something, and my grievance will be something totally different to perhaps yours and everybody else's. And to me, that's the single biggest, most important thing. But that's not the only thing that drives people to carry out these attacks. There are people, charismatic recruiters, who will believe and force people to believe that they have to form a part of the global jihadist movement, the otherization, the victimization, the supremacy narrative, you know, the kind of things that my parents didn't bring to the UK in the early 1950s and my uncle in the 20s. We never believed this, but there are people who will sell this to our kids, and then we'll sell them a political goal, and we'll say to them that violence is the only way. And guess what? They will then say that this is God's gang, and the only way that you can join God's gang is actually to go out and carry out these attacks. This particular chap last night, make note, you know, let's move away from all of the rhetoric, and people will say, well, it's foreign policy, all the rest of it. You know, well, what has foreign policy got to do with blowing up little kids? What has our foreign policy got to do with Muslims travelling thousands of miles and killing other Muslims? Yes, of course, it can be a grievance, but it's been manipulated, and this guy, Salam Abdi, in this instance, believed that by doing what he did, he was fighting God's war, and God was going to reward him by martyrdom and going straight to heaven. This is what we need to combat, and more Muslims and non-Muslims, we need to do this together before people get to that stage. This is the bit we're missing, and governments as well, and you can tell I'm a bit emotional, governments as well, You know, we've got an election coming up, and two of the main parties out of the three main parties want to scrap the prevent strategy that we have at this moment in time altogether. No, we need to do more. We need a reform, and we need a more coordinated effort with leadership from the top.
Haras, the poet Tony Walsh, expounding the virtues of what is this great city of Manchester earlier on, it was really quite emotional to listen to him, and clearly a very emotional environment at this vigil in Albert Square that you will know. He said, "We won't take defeat, we won't take your pity," and I thought that really rang true, because that is that kind of soul of the people of Manchester. But as you rightly pointed out, the risk here is that we become desensitized to these things, that they become the new norms. How do we prevent this? All of us. I'm talking about organizations like yours, I'm talking about us in the media, I'm talking about the security forces and politicians. How do we prevent people being inspired, sadly, by an event like this, an attack like this, an atrocity like this?
Well, the first thing is name the problem. This is Islamist radicalization. This is Islamist terrorism or jihadist terrorism. Islamism and Islam, two different things. Islam is a faith that people practice differently. Islamism is a distinct political ideology that wants two things. The first is to set up a utopian and fight to set up a utopian Islamist state and enforce a particular version of Sharia, and secondly to spread it around the world. Islam is practiced by different people in different ways. I'm a Muslim. I don't believe in Islamism. It's a contemporary phenomenon. First of all, name the problem. The second thing really is to break it down into two parts. The first part is what we call the sharp end. When people have been identified as showing support and sympathy, root them out of the communities, identify them. You know, if we have to protect our communities by actually going to the police, going to the authorities and say, I believe this particular person may be showing sympathy and support for jihadism, root them out, and then help them go through a de-radicalization and rehabilitation program. That's the sharp end. The softer part, which is the long-term resilience building, is to actually unite as a civil society and say, you know what, there are aspects within Islamic traditions, let's call them Wahhabism, let's call them Salafism, which is theological positions which merge with political Islamism, to actually say, you know what, we need to have some form of reform, number one. Secondly, is we need to treat this phenomenon in the same way that we treat fascism, racism, homophobia, and all the other things that we've defeated from an ideological perspective. And that means getting out of this denial mentality from some parts of the communities and actually working with other people and saying, let's tackle this on. Yeah, let's tackle this head on.
All right, Haras, thank you for your thoughts and analysis.